You really?
Why not? I mean, you want me to turn it? You want me to turn it the other way?
No, you're fine. For those of you who think gar is nothing more than a trash fish, or for those of you who just curious about how to clean a gar, this video is for you. Step 1. Tools. Clean working space. Need a pair of wire cutters, a good pair of scissors, or tin snips if you have them, and a really good knife. Step 2. We actually need a gar, believe it or not. Now, this gar is obviously still alive, because the fresher they are, the better they taste. Because gar have wonderfully sharp teeth. Slight precautions have been taken. I'm gonna slap you. Slight precautions have been taken so I don't slice my fingers. The gar mouth. All of those tiny little baby teeth are razor fucking sharp.
Yes, they are.
Be careful. Another thing you have to worry about, the scale plate just over the gills, also very sharp. Native Americans used to use it for arrows. So, when cleaning a gar, make sure you have good, thick gloves, or you will get hurt. Grip the nose. Take your wire cutters. Make an incision just behind the bony plate of the head. I say incision like it's a surgery, but it's not really. That's not bones crunching, that's his armor plating. Or her, whichever the case may be. Sever the spinal cord, you no longer have to worry about the fish flopping too much. Between the gill plate and the body of the fish. You can make incisions on both sides. Continue to snip until the head is no longer attached to the fish. You may ask, why? Because the nerves in any animal cause it to twitch even when it's dead. So with the head removed, we can throw it in the trash. We won't be needing it. And now I can take my gloves off. Two more points of fact about gar. One, they are extremely slimy, like catfish, only worse. And two, when you cut the head off, they bleed a lot. So, you want to drain the blood into a proper receptacle, more or less. Oops. Start by squeezing its tail, work your hand up. You don't have to get all of the blood out. But most of it is probably a good idea. Stop it! So yes, even dead, they still twitch. And now there's gar blood fucking everywhere. Alright, now that you have removed the head, you can either use these things, I forget what they're called frequently, wire cutters, or if you have a really good pair of scissors, start making an incision right above the spine. The crunching sound is actually the scales on the fish being split in half. Not so much a cutting as it is a breaking of the scales per se. Oh, come on, don't be like that. Let me stick it in there. That's a little lopsided. Now, as far as I know, gar only have one dorsal fin, and it's damn near at the tail. You're going to want to cut on both sides of the dorsal fin, and when I start harvesting the meat, I will explain why. Once you get to the back of the dorsal fin, you don't have to go any further than that. Because that's about where the white meat stops. There. Now, you have a nice slit from the base of its head to the tail end of its dorsal fin. Perfect. Sharp knife. This is my that's not a knife, by the way. Those of you who grew up in the 80s and 90s will understand that phrase. You will see, if you look closely, a very thick white layer. You want to try and cut above that layer. That is basically the bundle of nerves that runs along the back of the gar. And it's kind of like trying to fillet a normal fish, except you're separating the skin from the meat, not the meat from the bone. We'll get into the meat from the bone in just a moment. Oh my God, he's cutting towards himself. Oh, what's gonna happen? Nothing, because I've been cutting towards myself for decades. I cut myself enough when I was younger. Ah! Just kidding. So, even with it separated from the skin, even with the skin separated from the meat this far, the scales are so resilient that it's difficult to unwrap the present, so to speak, that lays inside. And this is a lot of work, you say. Why would you want to do that much work for such a tiny amount of meat? Well, for two reasons. For one, because this is the only size that we could get today. Not that. And for two, because the meat, the white meat anyway, I've yet to figure out how to cook the dark meat. The white meat is more delicious than the best chicken you can buy at the supermarket because it tastes like chicken. Tiny little slices to separate the skin from the meat. With any luck, I'll be able to almost completely de-skin the gar so you can see just how resilient their skin actually happens to be. The reason why even gar don't try to eat other gar. Alright, that's enough on that side. Back to this side. But it doesn't seem like your knife is all that sharp. You're not cutting very well. That's because gar skin is extremely tough. Yeah, trust me, it's a very sharp knife. I'd show you how sharp it is, but I really don't want to go to the hospital. Whoops. My wife is now laughing because the gar is still twitching, even though it's been dead for
12 minutes, roughly.
roughly 12 minutes. I was actually going to say 20, and I'm like, I don't know when I started cutting. I suppose I should have put the disclaimer before we started cutting. This is a very graphic film, by the way, so if you're easily offended, just like my WTF album, don't look.
You actually might not be able to put this on there because they're going to be so long.
We shall see. Worst case scenario, I upload it to YouTube and post a link. I have a Disturbed song stuck in my head all freaking.
Which one?
I don't know. All I hear is like a part of the chorus. So maybe it's my mind telling me that I'm disturbed. I don't know. I thought that was a cat. It's the fish screaming at me. No! Don't cut me anymore. Sorry, I'm hungry. And you taste delicious. For those of you who play Borderlands 2, insert the quote from the plague rats in the fridge. I smell delicious! Serrated blade, extremely sharp, can't cut through the tail. So, do I have to cut the tail off? Not necessarily. It's just easier for me. Oh, and if you want to know what happens when you miscatch a gar, ask my wife what happens when it decides to try and bite your leg.
And my hand.
And yeah, and your hand, because that was actually when you came to work
Yeah.
to show me. It's kind of funny, actually.
Well, I had it on the ground when it decided to flip around and bite my leg. Like I said, it became feisty after it realized it was getting out of the water. It just didn't want to let go of the fish head beforehand. Just rolled with it.
Now, one of the reasons why gar
Spit it out.
are such trash fish is because the normal defense that they have for breeding is that their eggs are toxic to mammals. So, because I don't know if this is a male or female, we're going to take very, very extreme precautions to not let any potential eggs, assuming that it's actually a pregnant female, I'm going to take extreme precaution to not let the eggs touch the meat because it will instantly spoil. And I really love my fish. I think this is the longest we've ever had them twitching.
They're also usually dead or mostly dead by the time you start cleaning them. Is that a worm?
I don't know what that is. It's like a fish mouth penis. Anyway, so you now have your gar. This stuff is like armor. Well, let me rephrase that. It is armor plating, but for fish. So the next step, along the spine, you will see this tiny, tiny little cord, the bundle of nerves. You want to try and separate the meat from that bundle of nerves. Which is truthfully not too difficult. It's just very delicate. You have to be careful not to actually cut too much of the meat. Otherwise you did all that work for nothing. Tiny. If you look at the lateral the lateral line, you can see there are two sections of meat. One with the lateral line, can't even speak today. With the lateral line, the actual lateral line of the fish, which is the sensors that they use to detect vibrations and electromagnetic, electrical current bucket. The second line right here is about where you want to cut the backstraps out. So if any of you who've been deer hunting know what backstraps are, that's what we're going for. The backstraps. It's flapping. Sometimes cleaning fish can be very entertaining. And I know there's at least one person that's going to give me grief because I have to work with them tomorrow. I can't believe you caught a live fish. How do you feel? I'm vegan. Oh, crap, I just gave it away. You know who you are. Feel free to give me grief all you want. It's delicious. That's why I do it. Do I keep all of my fish? No. Typically only really big ones. Or ones that are extremely, extremely delicious, like this one. If you're having trouble figuring out where the spine is as you're cleaning one of these or harvesting the meat, just try and stay as close to this nerve bundle as you can. You'll be just fine. You might lose a small bit of the white meat, but it's not enough to really go crazy over, oh my god, I lost some of the meat. No, not necessary. So, near the tail, like I said, right behind the dorsal fin, you got these nice, juicy, thick back straps. Right to the dorsal fin, it becomes kind of dumb to keep going because the amount of work that you put into it so far, they're much smaller, so it's not worth going all the way back to the tip of the tail or the end of the caudal fin. I love my scientific term, a caudal fin. Oh, he looks like he wants to coddle. One of these days, I will figure out how to cook the dark meat, so I will be able to harvest the entire fish, not just, the top half. That's actually kind of cool. You see it twitching as I drag the knife?
No.
Watch this strip right here.
Huh.
That's nifty. I should have been a surgeon. Hey, look what I can make this guy's leg do just by touching this part of his brain.
You can't be like Dr. Zed.
Dr. Zed? No, I think you're thinking Dr. Frankenstein.
That too. But come on, Zed.
Yeah. Also a Borderlands 2 reference. So, those of you who play, feel free to giggle. Shh. Almost done. So, is it a lot of work to harvest the back straps from a gar? Yes. Is it worth it? Well, try it once. I'll let you decide. I think it's worth it. For you, it might not be. So that being the case, if you live in the area and you catch a gar and you don't want to harvest the back straps, bring it to me. I'll be happy to clean it for you. But keep in mind, just like any other creature on the planet, the more fresh the meat is, the better it tastes. That awesome little pair of scissors you had earlier. You seriously got to put your hand on his back strap. You could feel it twitching. Oops, that was a little bit too low. No.
I can't pick you up right now.
He's not asking you to pick him
sorry.
up. He wants the fishy.
No.
He got all sad. I love you, Box. So we have one back strap from a gar. They get pretty long. You can fry them like that, but personally, I think it's easier, and so does my wife, because she's the one that actually cooks them. Cut them into tiny little chunks about 1 to 2 inches long, so you have like gar nuggets. Kind of like chicken nuggets, I guess. It should have the same texture as chicken. Like if you get a nice boneless, skinless chicken breast from the supermarket, that's about the feel that you're going for. So if it wiggles and jiggles like a chicken breast you buy from the supermarket, that's perfect. This is all dark meat. I'm not going to bother to harvest that because I have not yet figured out how to cook it properly. If you do make the mistake of harvesting the dark meat at the same time you harvest the white meat, like I did with my first gar, it turns out to be very, very rubbery, and it kind of has a fishy taste to it, like you would expect fish to taste like. This, however, the backstrap, does not taste like that. I don't have a bowl.
Just set it down. I'll deal with it after the video.
Alright, that'll work.
You have 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I got 4 minutes left. Whatever shall I do? I know one thing you can do. You can finish cutting your damn fish and end your video. You damn torturer. You'd rather let the fish suffocate to death before you mutilate it. Sure, I'm the torturer. Anyway, enough with animal abuse, blah, blah, blah. Backstraps! All done. This is what's left of the carcass. I'm not going to bother to strip the rest of it away because it's all going in the trash anyway. This can't pierce it with that's not a knife. That's why the Indians used to use it as armor. So, I hope you learned something today. I'm looking forward to eating fish.